come here often. Looks like the big moment has... Don't consider... Of course, it's...
Malady
Looks like my...
You've shown me.
Now go.
God woken. Dallas to your with the hours this when
my there is
I was a child. It was hectic. Doctor does.
Dallas
Your actions. She didn't do it. And
while Dallas
what
I had to ask
me to strengthen
the you see
the Eterran.
the boy of
The
we did it we
as good.
the world shall not know this.
Then let us. Shut.
You are so no. I understand your
I'm sorry.
struggles to rise, but the weight of his own pain leaves him to gravity's mercy.
My time.
Dallas.
Here we stand, once more on all my life. Dragons will spread. I take it you realize I'll not hold back if you stand in my way. Good.
He's wrong. About power, I mean. The thing is, I can never be free. I've taken their queen from them. I know you'll have my back when I return to them, just like I've got yours.
Beast replies with a nod. There's no denying the glint in his eye. Whatever the future holds, you think back on your journey here. You think of you look at the soul. You marvel. It's time. Shall you be now? Others must. All that you have been through, and all that you have done, all that you have become. The Aetheran lies in front of you. Divinity is your ore to sacrifice. What you do next, what shall you do with divinity?
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. A new divine rose, a true heir to the Seven, more powerful than ever, and united Rivellon in its battle against the Void. All across the realm, she was loved, worshipped, and adored. Humans, lizards, elves, and dwarves all rallied to her banner. The Great Allegiance stood once more, but the war continued. From the depths of the Void, the God King still sought to return. As for me, my last hope of ever being freed of the God King's terrible tyranny faded when the Godwoken claimed divinity. An eternity of pain and suffering is mine. I cling now to the dream that one day the veil will be sealed, that one day I can be freed, that one day a new Godwoken will rise.
Malady stands...
Well, here we are again. You, me, and the ship I've saved. Get an eyeful, Your Holiness. I expect it's the last we'll see of each other.
She turns to you, arms crossed.
Look at you. Magnificent. Actually, I've never looked better. Except for one small thing.
She fingers the mask covering her face. For a moment, it seems as though she's about to remove it. But instead,
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. I sacrificed much. But I'd give even more to see you become exactly what you've become. Soon, I'd like to have a little chat about something you can do for me. But I believe that can wait. Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Oh, I don't know. Around and about. And when the time comes, Your Holiness.
Malady stands tall.
Well, here we are. Get an eyeful. I've got a case.
She turns to you.
So, how does it feel? Giving away divinity like it were nothing more than an old shoe. The same way I do.
She fingers
We've come a long way.
She looks you.
I guess take a moment. Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Oh, perhaps up until we find...
No, of course you wouldn't. It's a written language. Unreadable. I intend to seek...
A slight grin crosses the...
I see great potential in our new divinity. I don't expect to be disappointed.
Losa winks and curtsies in playful reverie.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again. I will always be an ally to those that carry swords. I am at the ready.
You look out to the... and with a start, War raged on. Arx remained the center of power as the races united behind the Divine. But the Voidwoken attacks continued, as they did elsewhere. Arx would see many more long years of war. The ancient empire of lizards became one of the pillars of the new Divine Alliance. The houses of war and of shadows were particularly useful in the fight against the God King. The Empire used the war to expand its territory. With Justinia dead, the Dwarven Kingdom descended into chaos. But although they did not join the Divine Alliance, many joined the fight against the Void, and did their people great honor in battle and in death. With Lucian gone, the elves reluctantly rejoined the Divine Alliance. Their place in the war on the Void would entirely depend on the integrity of the new Divine.
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. When the dust settled, no new divine had risen. Instead, all Source was released into the world for all the people and every creature to share. Everyone was now a sorcerer. And united, the peoples of Rivellon pushed back the God King into the very depths of the Void. This ushered in a new golden age of peace and prosperity. But alas, it was not to last. With many greedy for wealth, power and position, the struggle soon began anew. Source, the very language of creation, was used in violence once more. The never-ending contest for power continued. As for me, my last hope of ever being freed of the God King's terrible tyranny faded when the Godwoken failed to seal the veil. An eternity of pain and suffering is mine, in service of the King, until the day I am freed, the day the God King returns.
Malady stands tall and proud, sunlight sparkling off her mask. From here, she looks almost angelic.
Well, here we are again. You, me, get an eyeful. I expect it's the last we'll see of you. I've a lot of planning to do. Now that there's not to be a new divinity.
She drums her fingers testily on her crossed.
All that work, all that effort, tossed into the gutter like a malformed child. You say that now. Let's see how you feel when you realize the true implication of a world filled with sorcerers. Never mind. I'll find another way.
She fingers the mask covering her face.
We've come a long way together.
She looks you up and down.
I guess this will have to do. Take a moment, why don't you? Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Until next time.
Source of all, eh? A bold move, I'll grant you that. I didn't think anyone considered the little people anymore. I don't know yet. Perhaps peace will reign and all will be equal. Or perhaps you've bestowed great power on undeserving children and turned them loose on each other. Time will tell, I'm sure.
A slight grin crosses the spirit's face.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to... I will always be... I am at the ready.
You look out to the... and with a start, the world was at peace, at least for now. With its significance as the seat of divinity diminished, Arx fell into decline, and within 7 generations had emptied. Few were as prepared for the new world as the lizardkin of the ancient empire. With power spread equally throughout the world, the advantage lay with those who knew how to steal it, and at this the lizards excelled. With their queen dead and the Voidwoken gone, the dwarves held the greatest party in the history of dwarfdom. A new king took the throne, the local brewer. 6 days later, he was stabbed to death with a mutton fork. With their power returned, the elves reclaimed their lands from the Death Fog and began to rebuild. Soon they would split as 2 factions sought power, one to bring back the trees, the other to bring back the scions. A dwarven joke did the rounds. It ends with the punchline, "So Lucian dropped the Death Fog on them again." And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoute of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops. A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a centre of industry, trade, and transport. Lohar the dwarf became mayor. His time in office was cut short by an unfortunate wound that spontaneously appeared on his neck. Lagan left his over-demanding wife and began a relationship with a local bard. In the spirit of loving generosity, he returned the ring to his now ex-wife. In a fit of rage, she threw it into the sea. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Millennia later, adventurers would come in search of the legendary divine city of Arx and the crypt of the great Lucian. None would pass the path of blood. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon, and so her search continued. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. With the source released to the world, Ahu the wizard spent more and more time as a cat. One day he decided he would not change back.
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. Dallas the Hammer, the secret eternal, purged the Godwoken and used the source to close the veil to the void. The world was saved. Statues in memory of the Godwoken who sacrificed their source were erected all across Rivellon. They would never be forgotten. The half-demon Malady took pity on the soulless, God-woken silent monks and brought them to the Hall of Echoes. There, from the scraps of their souls that remained, she restored them to life. Sorcerers no more, they lived out the rest of their lives, freed of the burden of being the God-woken, freed from the weight of the world. As for me, the God-woken sacrifice severed the link that bound the sworn to the God King, and I was finally free. To atone for my sins, I spent the rest of my days taking care of the sick and elderly, telling the story of the Godwoken, that the world may never forget the greatest heroes Rivellon had ever seen.
Malady stands tall and proud. Sunlight...
Ah, there you are. More than a silent monstrosity, less than a god. In the end, I'm not totally convinced it was worth my while to restore your consciousness, seeing what you've done with it so far. Where did I go wrong? How is so boring. Unfortunately for me, I've grown rather fond of you. Still, I'd expected quite a bit more from you. I was interested in being owed a favor by a shiny new god, not some emperor of the realm. Never mind. I'll find another way.
She fingers the mask covering her face.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. Sacrificed much. And I'd have given even more to see you fulfill your destiny.
She looks you up and down.
I guess this will have to do. Take a moment, why don't you? Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same. Until next time.
I always thought that those who resorted to self-sacrifice were lacking in imagination. But I must admit, that was rather noble of you. A world without source is one that will need individuals of wit and intellect. A sharp mind is the only magic now. I believe I shall enjoy this new world very much.
A slight grin crosses the spirit.
It gives me almost as much pleasure. I will always... I am at the...
You look out to the end and with a start. At last, the world was at peace. As the races united behind Lucian, Arx remained the center of power. The ancient Lizard Empire opened its gates. The houses disbanded, and the Empire adopted a pluralist quasi-democracy. Anyone could vote for whoever they pleased, as long as the House of Shadows approved. With their queen dead and the Voidwoken gone, the dwarves held the greatest party in the history of dwarfdom. A new king took the throne, the local brewer. 6 days later, he was stabbed to death with a mutton fork. Lucian made amends to the elves. He gave them lands and vast riches from the coffers of the old divine order. But the elves never forgave him. They would not trust humans again. And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoubt of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops. A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a center of industry, trade, and transport. Lohar the dwarf became mayor. His time in office was cut short by an unfortunate wound that spontaneously appeared on his neck. Lagan left his over-demanding wife and began a relationship with a local bard. In the spirit of loving generosity, he returned the ring to his now ex-wife. In a fit of rage, she threw it into the sea. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Arx became a great metropolis, famed for its prosperity, its culture, its diversity, and the willingness of its denizens to stab each other in the back for the slightest advantage. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon, and so her search continued. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. Ahu the wizard became one of Lucien's most trusted advisors once more. He always knew that something had changed in the divine. He never discovered what that was, or if he did, he never said a word. With Amalia silent, the priestess Gratiana left the swamps and re-entered the world. She founded an abbey in the Dragonspine Mountains, offering the last of the undead shelter from fortune hunters, novelty seekers, and ghouls. Jehan the demon hunter found himself at a loose end, so he opened a museum of demonic artifacts. He made a fortune. With Lucien in power, Sahala took the elves away from the world. They grew strong once more amidst the trees of the regrown home forest. Some say her plans for revenge will bring about the end of days. Some say only Tova, her mother, holds her back. Lucien returned as divine, united the races, and became Lord Emperor of all Rivellon. Only Dallis knew that he was entirely powerless. Dallis and you. The Eternal, now known as Dallis, was a secret advisor to Lucien and to his successors. For eons she would walk in the world, and would outlive the peoples and all, and wander alone amongst the dying stars. And then there was you. In a world of peace, you could live forever. Your future was yours to decide. But you were a sorcerer no more. Did you accept your new status with gratitude, or did you rebel? Only you know the truth, you and one other. But of him you are free. The God King no longer calls your name. He no longer whispers your shame. Only you know if you atone for your sins.